Okay, everyone. So this is WordCast number 3, and we have a list of some really cool topics to talk to you about today. I'm Ethan Word, CEO of WordTech Reviews. You guys probably have been to the website or whatever. If you haven't, go ahead and go to the website, wordtechreviews.com. And Daniel, go ahead and introduce yourself.
As he just said, I'm Daniel. Thanks for stealing my introduction.
That was the point.
Yeah, I do posts and stuff on there. I'm also going to start doing a lot more video reviews and whatnot of products. And most importantly, I have Ball Blast.
Yes, so that matters most. Every time last time you had Mountain Dew Cheetos, now you have Mountain Dew Baja Blast. So
Yep.
So we have a few topics to talk about. So we're gonna go through obviously ones that we come up with as we go. But for starters, the new Haswell refresh, as well as what Intel's really doing with Haswell refresh case series, to let you guys know what that's like. And then we're also gonna go ahead and talk about the Moto G Cinema and just some other really new stuff that's coming out, like the Z97 platform for gaming and stuff. So yeah, I'd actually like to start off probably. Well, what would you like to start off with? Have you heard much about the Moto G Cinema or not? I don't
Not
know.
really. I hear Moto G and just kind of skip over it because it's always a lower end phone.
It is good, but yeah. So all right, let's just start with that. We'll get into some of the more detailed stuff a little bit later. So shoot, well, how was I gonna start this? Okay, so the Moto G Cinema. So it's a new thing that's come out. Nobody really knows what it is or what the cinema means. It could be a code name. It could be something that really matters. So what I'm thinking is that what people have been assuming is that it's probably something to do with the camera or the screen, and we don't know. It could be a successor to the Moto G, or it could, be something along the lines of a better camera improvement attachment or something of the sort. And I've been trying to research it quite a bit, and from what I've seen, it's really hard to figure out quite what it is. But most likely we're not going to see a Moto G revision right now because we have the Moto E that's supposed to be coming out fairly soon. So there'd be absolutely no point in Motorola to revamp their Moto G right now because the Moto E is the next budget phone. Although I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying maybe it could be not revamping it so much, but maybe they're coming out with a Moto G Cinema that's exactly the same as the Moto G, except one change like the camera or the screen. What I thought that could be is it could be the Moto G Cinema. It could be a curved phone, although that would be a premium phone, so that's unlikely. But it could just simply be a budget phone with a larger screen that would kind of compete with the Galaxy Mega, except it would probably be a lot better. Which I'd actually really like to see that, because honestly, when it comes to phones, for me, I just use them for social networking and texting and stuff. I don't play games on them, so I don't need the processor, but I do like a really large screen and a good camera. So it could be something that they could be aiming for, or it could be a really good camera that they're doing for the Moto G and just refreshing it with a better camera version. Or maybe it's both at the same time. That's possible too. And then the other suggestion. Go ahead.
If you go with just a larger screen, though, unless it's around the same $200 price that the Moto G is at, I just don't see it being competitive now that you have the One Plus. Because if they sell it even at $250, for $50 more, you go from bottom tier specs to flagship level specs.
Yeah.
On a still large phone, I don't see a way for them to make it competitive. The only thing I can think of is that they have to lower the price of the Moto G, maybe like $50, and then have the Moto G Cinema be the $200 phone. Because they already have the Moto G, like the Verizon version, for $100. The Boost Mobile version, I think, is $100 as well.
Yeah.
So they can do something where they drop the regular Moto G price and then have the Cinema be that if there are going to have multiple tiers for the Moto G. That's the only way it can stay competitive.
Yeah, because it's just the price point is what it's all about when it comes to that. And Motorola so far has been nailing the price point. But I mean, if they can come out with a Moto G Cinema that you pay, like $30 extra for or something, so it brings it to $200 off contract instead of the $179 it is or whatever. So sorry, $20 extra. That would be something that would be really attractive to people. That if they have that little extra money and they want a phablet-sized screen, they can. And if you think about it too, increasing the screen size to something like 6 inches with something like a budget phone like that, they're going to reduce costs of building the other components inside because they don't need to make everything quite as small. So it could actually, really $20 extra could be doable if they were to do something like that and keep it about the same thickness as the Moto G itself. And I think that could work out really well. Plus, they can fit a bigger battery in there, but then that would probably rank up the price more. So I could just see maybe literally the same specs with a larger screen, or literally the same specs with a better camera, or maybe the same specs except a better camera and a large screen, and it would be like $250 off contract. Now that would be really, really competitive, because we do have the 1+1, but when I say larger screen, I am talking beyond 5.5 inches. I'm talking to 6 and 6.3 inch stuff that some people are really attracted to when it comes to just doing anything. And
if they go with that, though, they have to increase the battery size because battery life will tank. And then
well,
that's going to cause
that depends. If it's a higher resolution screen, yes. If it's the same amount of pixels, it'd be about the same battery life.
It's not necessarily, because they have more area that they have to light up.
Okay, that's true. Another thing that I'm thinking, this is the thing when it comes to large phones for me too, is all the manufacturers have it wrong that you want a large phone so that you can play games on, obviously, and watch movies, but that's not really what I think a large screen is useful for, in my opinion. What I actually like better is a large screen because it's better for typing on the keyboard, which is what I do whenever I'm on my phone, and it's easier to view more social media content and more tech updates and stuff like that I'm always looking at. And so I would really appreciate something like a 6.5 inch screen. I think that would be great. And we do have the Galaxy Mega, but the Galaxy Mega is still expensive for what you're getting, and it's also, its specs. I know I said that its specs, don't need to be good, but its specs don't hold up in any comparison to something like a Moto G or whatever would be. Its specs aren't very high, and its camera's not very good. I considered getting one because honestly I don't play any games on my phone. My phone has become something that's a lot less important to me. I'm really interested in phones, but it's a lot less important to me now than computers are because I just feel like it's the same thing over and over. But I considered switching to it, but there's a couple reasons why not. A, I couldn't get a larger battery, and B, the camera sucks. And we do all of our videos with our phones. Well, you don't, but I do. I do my videos with my phone. Or I'm going to start doing that because it takes better video than my camera, sadly. So I would like something that has a really good camera and a really large screen without all the processing power to play all the latest games as fast as possible because I really don't care. But I know that wish probably won't come true until Project Ara, which leads us to another topic, Project Ara. This needs to go somewhere really soon.
Beginning of next year, man.
Yeah, I am not buying a new phone until that comes out, and when it comes out, I'm waiting until they come out with the 6+ inch screen phone.
So you're going to be waiting until the end of next year to get a new phone?
Probably.
Yeah. I'll stick with my 1+1.
I know you will.
And I'm getting an iPhone 6.
Why?
To review, and then trading it back in, because I can upgrade them twice a year, remember?
You scared me for a moment there, but okay, that's fine.
I wanted to see your response. But yeah, no, I'm going to review one.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, we got to review some Apple stuff for the site. Whether or not we prefer Apple, we should probably, review them a little bit because some people do like them.
I'm gonna have to start buying Apple products anyway as I get into app development.
That is true. Yeah, you're gonna have to have an iPhone and probably an iPad, so because you are doing app development. Okay, some people like them though. Some people do. So I kind of wanted to go ahead and maybe I guess we can move into the PC topic.
Let's stay on mobile because there are a couple of other mobile topics. We might as well do batches of. Sprint. This is gonna piss a lot of people off, but not for a good reason, but because a lot of people are gonna get misinformed. Can you hear the jet in the background, by the way?
No, I don't hear anything.
Okay, just making sure it's not because there's a jet flying by.
What mic are you using, actually, by the way?
I'm just using my webcam's mic. I don't even know where my snowball is right now.
Okay, I need to get a snowball because I would like to start using something like that.
But Sprint. So recent reports have been coming out saying Sprint is going to be throttling their customers, even the ones on the Unlimited for Life plan. This is true, and this is not true. So how it works is currently when a cell tower gets congested, everyone gets slowed down, calls drop, texts drop, and if someone's using heavy amounts of data, that's going to interfere with calls more. What they're going to be doing is the people that use shitloads of data, when the towers are congested, in other words, when they're already getting slowed down and people are already losing performance, they're going to be just essentially forcing calls and text messages to take priority over data. So it would rather a call get through or a text message go through than your video load super fast, is essentially what's going to be happening.
That makes sense.
It's a good idea, especially in times like what happened on the East Coast, with the storm that happened a while ago.
Yeah.
Things like that, where if someone's trying to, for example, upload a video to YouTube of something that's happening, that's going to cause emergency calls to not go through.
Yeah, you're right. That makes sense.
Essentially just going to say, no, fuck you, video upload. We're going to let the calls go through first and foremost.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
People that use up tons of data will lose priority in times of need. And this only happens when they're connected to a congested tower while it is congested. If they go across the street and that area across the street happens to be connected to a non-congested tower, they won't be getting slowed down. If that tower is only congested for a couple of minutes, they'll only get slowed down for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
It's not regular throttling. This is just network management. And it's right in the terms and conditions of Sprint. It's always been in there that they have the right to manage their network however the hell they want. So I know people are going to try to get out of their contract. People are going to try to bitch and moan that we're going back on the unlimited promise. No, we're not. You're all idiots. That's that.
Yeah, that's actually, I'm interested in that. That's actually really good for emergency situations. It just depends on how bogged down they're talking about the towers getting when they start this starts going into effect. Is it going to be
causing calls to be dropped?
Okay, because I was wondering if is it going to be like a level where the more people that add on, the slower the data gets, or is it going to be at a certain point when it starts not being able to handle stuff that it starts dropping back everybody's data at the same time? Do you know?
It's essentially going to be when things stop working as they should, like when calls start dropping or not going through, when text messages start not going through.
Okay, all right.
That's when there's an issue, and that's when that's when things normally would get slowed down anyway, because the towers are getting congested.
Yeah.
And what this is going to be doing is the top 5% of heavy data users are essentially going to take a back seat during this time of issue so that calls and texts can go through properly.
Yeah, okay. All right, that's actually a good idea. I want to say something really fast. Any of you that are watching this, if there's any extreme lag coming from my webcam, I don't know if there actually is. I really do apologize for that. I'm having massive voltage regulation module issues with my PC right now. No matter how much airflow, I've got my fans cranked up right now.
AMD, and AMD sucks.
It has nothing to do with being AMD. It has to do with trying to push it to 5 gigahertz on a crappy motherboard. So my VRMs are having issues. So every once in a while, my clock rate drops to 1.4 gigahertz. So then everything craps out on my PC, and so I just want to let you guys know ahead of time about that. But do you have anything else mobile you want to talk about, or you want to move into the PC business here soon? A lot of things lined up.
Actually, 2 more things mobile.
Okay.
One of which, the T-Mobile and Sprint merger. There's some new news about that. For one, there are actually rumors that it's just kind of dead. Coming from some higher-ups in Sprint, stating that just because of all of the regulatory issues and whatnot, it's just not something that's possible right now. It doesn't say it's permanently dead. It's more of on life support and just kind of holding out.
Okay.
But apparently, Dutch Telecom, who owns T-Mobile, they want $1 billion in compensation if the merger fails.
Really?
Which is similar to what they did with the AT&T merger, where they got, I think it was much more, I think it was like $4 billion, I think. Yeah, $4 billion worth of either money and spectrum and whatnot is what they got from the AT&T one. But they essentially want $1 billion, which means even more so I want this merger to start and fail so T-Mobile can get the extra money. Because last time they got the extra money, they threw it all at the network. And an extra $1 billion for them to throw at the network is going to be even better and make them more competitive.
Yeah. Okay. That's
So
actually.
the other thing, if the merger does go through, apparently one of the big things that T-Mobile has been pushing for is to keep the T-Mobile name, not just let it all be engulfed under Sprint, which is
Yeah.
good because not a lot of people like Sprint.
Yeah, I know, and Sprint's still my second choice out of the carriers, but I do get really frustrated with them in a lot of situations because I will say the biggest thing about Sprint that pisses me off, and I know it's not policy related in any way, it's nothing that they can do to fix right now, but the fact that they're CDMA, that just pisses me off because 99% of unlocked phones I cannot purchase because they will not work on my network, and that's really frustrating.
It's really not going to matter, though, like 4 or 5 years from now, because
Yeah,
everything's going to be LTE.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
big
no, I
thing
get
with
that.
Sprint,
I'm frustrated because it's like, I wanted a OnePlus One. I would have smashed my GS4 for a OnePlus One, but it doesn't work on my network. I wanted a Nexus. Well, the Nexus, yeah, I could have gotten one of those actually, but or there's all kinds of things that I want.
what are you doing?
There's a spider on my wall, and I feel like smushing it, but I don't
Have
have a
fun
shoe.
with that.
Yeah, there's my shoe. Now you get back here, you bastard.
Okay, then. But yeah, the whole Sprint thing, it just... I have a feeling that if the merger goes through and they don't let T-Mobile, like whoever, like, if they don't let John Legere and the people that currently operate T-Mobile stay in control, and if they try to, it's more importantly, if they try to put the T-Mobile network into Sprint like they do with every other Sprint merger, they're going to kill both companies and leave us with Verizon and AT&T.
Oh no, it's the end of the world.
There's no way that, because Sprint's tried merging with the GSM network before. It does not work.
I believe it. It wouldn't work, yeah.
I guarantee you this time, it's gonna kill both companies.
Okay, well,
Neither of
let's
them are
hope that it
profitable.
just helps T-Mobile in some way. Because
Neither of them are
it's a good
profitable.
outcome that can
Put
come out in this
two
situation.
non-profitable companies together, that just amplifies how much money you're losing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all around a bad idea, and it needs to not happen. And I hope that the merger starts, and then the government says no, fuck that. I also hope that if it seems like it's going to happen, AT&T steps in, because the point of AT&T not being allowed to buy T-Mobile was that they wanted four competitors in the space.
Yeah.
That was the argument that the FCC used, and if Sprint's allowed to buy T-Mobile, that gives them 3 competitors, which means how come AT&T couldn't buy T-Mobile?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the
Mobile
fairness?
or AT&T will be really angry about that then if that happens.
Yeah, and I understand. Yes, AT&T is a much larger company, so they don't have as much of a need for T-Mobile. Whereas buying T-Mobile puts the amount of subscribers that would be under Sprint much closer to AT&T, but they still wouldn't even be caught up with AT&T.
Yeah.
And they're not gonna. Sprint is not going to steal that many customers from Verizon, from AT&T.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. T-Mobile has the chance to do it, especially after the purchase from Verizon of frequency. There's going to be a lot of areas where they will now be dramatically more competitive once they implement that 700 megahertz A-block frequency that they bought.
Yeah. I'm ready for GSM to take over the world and CDMA to die, to be honest.
It's not going to be either. It's just going to be LTE.
I know. Well, yeah, I'm ready for there to be something that's more unified because I start to get really, really, really irritated because having multiple networks like that is the stupidest thing ever because anybody that's new to getting into, this kind of stuff might buy an unlocked phone and then not realize that it's not going to work on their carrier because some people don't check that. Some people, I'm sure it's happened quite a bit because some people are just like, oh, this is a great phone for $300 and it means I'm not into a contract, so they buy it and then they realize that they can't, it doesn't work, because some people, say they want to upgrade their phone a year and after they get it instead of 2 years like the contract is, so they buy an off-contract phone, and when they buy the off-contract phone, they try to hook it up, it doesn't work, they get angry, they have to go through the RMA process, it pisses everyone off.
Well, that's their fault for not looking into it first, because in reality, even if every carrier was just running LTE, you'd still have that issue because different carriers use different bands, and not every phone can support every LTE band on the planet.
Yeah.
So they should look into it first, or yeah, they should just not be an idiot. But let's go into the last cell phone specific mobile topic that I had. The OnePlus One, they did change their production plans before they started like full production. Initially, at the end of this month, we were going to see the white 16 gigabyte model start coming in fairly heavy production, so they'd start sending out a ton of invites for sales on that. Well, they've changed that because of how high of the demand was for the $350 64 gigabyte black model. And so those will be coming in late May, early June, instead of the white primarily. So we're going to see the 64, which is what I wanted to buy, come sooner, which is going to be great.
Okay, and I can't remember, does the OnePlus One, does it support a SD card?
No.
Okay, so yeah, you need that 64 then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Kind of.
You know, I like internal storage better, the way it functions and how seamless it is with the phone, and that's because, you know, me using...
Especially after KitKat breaking SD cards?
Oh yeah, KitKat breaking SD cards. Well, KitKat CyanogenMod broke SD cards even more. I cannot view the stuff on my SD card unless I am in recovery mode, and if I try to take pictures to the SD card, I will click on the SD card, it will tell me to insert an SD card, but it will let me take a picture, but then the camera will lock up, and the camera will be locked up until I reboot my phone. And then if I load up the camera and I don't switch back to internal storage fast enough, it locks up again. Yeah, so that's no fun. Okay, so is that it for mobile then? Because I have just a ton of PC stuff lined up.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead, everyone, and get into more of the PC side of things, which is something that we're all really into. A lot of stuff has happened really late, like the last couple of weeks. And we missed WordCast last week, so stuff has kind of piled up when it comes to the PC world. So I'll go ahead and just start with, well, I'll start with one of the ones a little longer ago. So we all know, you guys probably all know about the R9 295X2. It's a dual 290X chip on a single PCB board that is liquid cooled by a single 120 millimeter all-in-one liquid cooler. So people are getting great performance out of those. They're really cool. One of the questions behind it is it uses two 8-pin power connectors, which means you have to have a power supply capable of supplying, I believe it was 30 amps, I think it is, to each 8-pin cable. So if you don't have a power supply that's capable of doing that, even if the power supply has enough wattage itself, then you can have issues running the card, although most power supplies, if they're single rail, that won't be a problem at all, because the single rail is handling the PCI, so whatever the rail's rated at is whatever each pin could output to. So something that has just happened though. Last year we had the 7990 that came out, but what came out right before the 7990 was Power Color. Everybody wanted a dual HD 7970 gigahertz edition card, but they hadn't been developed yet. AMD wasn't releasing it, so Power Color went and made their own. They made the Devil 13, and it is a triple slot card, and it uses a massive heatsink with triple fans, and it also, I mean, this thing is heavy enough that it can damage PCI slots. So they actually had, in that one, they had a little jack stand that you could put inside your case and to hold the card and support it up. I don't know how good that worked. I heard some bad things about it. I don't have one myself. So the Double 13 was an incredible card back then. And then the 7970 or 7990 from AMD actually came out, the real one. And that was a triple fan dual slot. It didn't have as good cooling or overclocking potential, but it was a good card, and people liquid cooled that and stuff. So it was kind of bigger news back then because the 7990 hadn't actually been out yet. But Power Color just came out with their Devil 13 again. Now this is after the 295X2 dual chip card, and that's what it is a 295X2. Seems like nothing special from the beginning because it's not like they were bringing something to the market that hadn't happened before. Although it is air-cooled, which is incredible, but it's also, again, a triple slot card with 3 fans and a massive, massive heatsink. So you get really, probably fairly quiet and really good performance from that, and if you aren't into liquid cooling in any way, this is something definitely that you guys can go with. But probably the most ridiculous thing about it is the fact that it uses 8 8-pin power connectors. Or sorry, why did I say 8? 4. Sorry, I had a brain fart. 4 8-pin power connectors. So we have twice the amount of power connectors for the exact same GPU. So two things that brings into play. Well, if you look at, that's actually beyond what dual 290Xs themselves alone would use, because those have an 8-pin and a 6-pin. So if you're adding 2 more pins to each card, so you're adding 4 pins, and this is for a single card. So it's 4 8-pin power connectors, which also helps with the issue if your power supply isn't capable of outputting 30 amps per 8-pin connector, then you don't have issues with that. But also, this probably is bringing in some of the greatest overclocking potential that we've ever seen in a card because of the amount of power that they're feeding to it. That whatever they've done, whatever engineering feat that they have accomplished with this heatsink, I think that the overclocking potential of this is going to be near that or beyond what the liquid-cooled solution that AMD has come out with is going to do. And I think a lot of us are probably really excited for that. It's a really incredible card. And I'm sure, EK will probably be making a water block for it. I don't know. I don't have any facts to back that up, but it would make sense for EK to make a water block for something like that, because something that has that much power, overclocking on it is going to be absolutely crazy. So I can't wait to see what people do with that, because you could put 2 of those in a system, and it would be the most powerful graphics solution in the world. It would I think if you put 2 295X2s in a system, you don't get quite as good performance as if you were to put in quad 290Xs, just because of the way thermal works and the way PCI works and stuff. But there's also a lot of other reasons behind it, and it's just not quite as good as 4 290Xs. Now, having this, I think, will eliminate some of those issues where it will be close. It'll be at or above the performance of quad 290Xs. But it will be in it'll be in a dual card configuration, which is better if you have a micro ATX that somehow so happens to support 6 PCI in the layout that is required for something like that. But I'm impressed to see what it can do. So, did you hear about the Double 13 at all, Daniel? You've been saying.
I heard about it. I didn't really look into it that much, just because I don't ever buy AMD cards that much. They don't appeal to me just because of how focused they are on gaming. With the fact that I'm doing development, video editing, and
Not to interrupt you, really, but I am going to interrupt you really quick. Cody Underhill will be joining us soon, just to let you guys know. So he'll be kind of, just jumping in out of nowhere. Anyway, continue with what you're saying, Daniel.
But yeah, I don't really pay that much attention to AMD just because, at least with their regular cards, they perform. Yes, they do really perform well for gaming, price to performance wise. But I'm not really focused on just gaming. In fact, I don't game very much on my computer compared to some of the other stuff I do, and I'm getting more into doing other stuff, in which something like a Titan will be much more suited to my needs. So I just kind of ignore the AMD stuff as far as specific.
Okay. Yeah. No, I get that completely. If that's that's what you need, that makes sense.
Or like when the 295 comes out, or 295X2, and the 290 comes out, stuff. Yeah, I look at that, but I don't look at the specific cards just because it's not something I will buy.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that does make complete sense. I understand that. You're doing a lot more workstation type tasks now, right? Yeah. You see, the stuff that I'm going to be doing with my computer, even over the next few years, isn't going to be so much workstation. It'll be things that don't require massive amounts of power. I'll probably be doing some Visual Basic stuff maybe, and I'll be doing a lot of networking stuff. And networking stuff doesn't use any.
Just don't do anything Java, because fuck Oracle. Oracle should die.
Okay, why don't you get into why? Because I haven't heard about what you're talking about.
So, Android uses Java. Everyone knows this. They use Java APIs to make development a lot easier. Java's always been pretty open about it and everything.
Yeah.
It's Java. Most people, Oracle's been pretty good about it. Well, not anymore. Oracle somehow managed to, after multiple court battles and getting turned down multiple times, convince some idiot federal court that they should have the right to sue Google over using their APIs. And so now they're trying to sue Google for financial compensation for using Java in Android, even though the Java API was public and open about being used, and they
That is
initially didn't
that is the
require.
stupidest thing I've ever heard. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm kind
I
of
don't
pissed
even,
off.
I'm not even gonna go on a rant about that one. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just hold that. Like that's just bad. And
Let's
we're
just go to the next
leave it
topic.
at that.
Your
Huh?
webcam is really bad right now, by the way.
Really? Is it? Now it's fixed, isn't it?
Kind of. It's still really bad.
Well, what's
It's not
bad?
moving because it's not helping. But like you moving is making the colors and stuff all wonky too.
Oh yeah, I need to get a better webcam, and I need more light. Yeah.
And there's Cody.
There I am.
Oh, there's Cody. Hey, Cody,
I am
how's it
at the
going?
party now.
Okay, so Cody, we already went over mobile
Cody.
tech.
Hang
So-
on, Ethan. Shut up. Cody, fuck Oracle, right?
Yeah.
Fuck Oracle. Okay.
Yeah, no, they suck.
Yeah.
No, they're shit.
That was the topic we were just finishing up. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
we
no,
already
that's
talked
that's
about
confirmed
mobile.
for Smash Bros.
So Cody, we already talked about mobile, and we're getting into PC right now. I just talked
Okay.
about the Devil 13 from the Duo Hawaii, which you've heard about, right?
I've heard about it, but I don't
told
know
you about
anything about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we already covered that, so
Okay.
you don't need to talk about it. So that works perfect.
Awesome. Hey, there we
Yeah.
go.
The next thing I want to move into is Haswell Refresh, more particular. It just came out, which is absolutely. They took Haswell and what was broken about it and fixed it. So they took because they had Ivy and then we have Haswell, which is worse than Ivy for the enthusiasts, better than Ivy for the more mobile platforms and the smaller computers and whatnot, and energy consumption and all that, right? So they're fixing that, which is really cool. So with Haswell Refresh, with the regular refresh, all we're seeing is Haswell will have better thermal interface design a little bit, and 100 megahertz clock increase, and a little bit of architecture change, I believe, which has been about a year since they've come out with a CPU. So I mean, it's a good time for them. I just kind of wish they weren't calling it Haswell, but then I guess it technically is based on the same architecture.
Well, it is the same architecture. So
Yeah,
It's,
so-
it still
so-
Haswell. It's just a new version of Haswell.
Yeah, but I
Um,
actually kind of like the approach they're going with Haswell Refresh. I don't like some of the other things they're doing, but I'll get into that in just a second. So
Essentially, what they're doing is what they did way back in the day when we were all youngsters, when they had the Pentium series, and then they re-released the Pentium series as Pentium HT, where it went from being a single-core CPU to a dual-core 3 gigahertz dual-core, the single-core hyper. And then they did some minor adjustments to things like clock rate. I think they changed the cache. They might have messed with the bus, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But it was still the same architecture, and it was still on the same diecast, and it was also the same socket.
yeah,
So it was still
it's technically the same thing. So yeah,
it's the
I get it.
LGA 775.
Yeah.
Which
So,
was one of the best chipsets in the world.
So we have so Haswell Refresh. We're gonna get some newer stuff like the 4690, the i5 4690, the i7 4790 and stuff, and those are all cool, but those are more for workstation type tasks, not like what we do with the enthusiast grade level stuff. Where you can already buy the Haswell Refresh stuff too. It's already on Newegg. Now, what you can't buy yet is the Haswell Refresh K series, the overclockable series of Haswell Refresh.
It's not going to be, Ethan, by the way, it's kind of confirmed that it's not just going to be same number K. It's actually a separate Haswell
Yeah.
action for the unlocked stuff.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they're doing a heavy focus on the codename Devil's Canyon, but that's supposed to actually come out next week or be announced next week.
I'm glad
Yeah,
that they're separating those now.
Yeah,
The June 2nd is when it's actually going to be available for purchase, and supposedly.
yeah. It's confirmed that there's some kind of announcement coming next week.
So what we're going to call them right now is the i5, the 4690K, and the 4790K.
I don't think we should even call it that because it's not going to be that.
Just the unlocked,
The unlocked.
the unlocked i5 and
the
the unlocked i7.
Yeah, I mean,
Because we don't know what model, but they are going to be comparable to the high end.
What I've actually read that they might actually stick with the 4690. They might stick with the K, but multiple sources are saying different things, so we can't really confirm that.
Well, that's the
I'm
thing.
going with
No.
what an MSI employee confirmed on a Newegg stream, because MSI and the Newegg employees tend to know this stuff early,
Yeah.
and they literally were going over what info they could publicly talk about.
Yeah, I would trust that information over something from like TechCrunch or PC Mag.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, the unlocked i5 and the unlocked i7 Haswell, what they're gonna be is they're taking Haswell and they're fixing majorly the thermal interface design. So in case you guys don't know, when you have a CPU, you know the big thick piece of metal that sits on top, that is not where any of the cores go, that is a heat sink for the actual chip. So you have the chip, and then you have thermal paste that goes on top of the chip, a sort of adhesive thermal paste. You have the big block, why can't I remember what it's called? I don't know, whatever it's
Just
called.
a thermal spreader or something.
Thermal spreader, yeah. So you have the thermal spreader, and then you put thermal paste on that, and you put your cooler on top of that.
Thermal
So
pad.
the issue with Haswell is you have the chip, and then the thermal paste in between the heat spreader and the chip itself is absolutely terrible. So that's the main reason why Haswell's overclocking is causing such big issues. Is no matter how good of cooling you have, you can't solve that issue because it can't transfer the heat to your cooling. So they're going to be majorly revamping the thermal interface design completely, so that we stop having issues with Haswell overclocking, which I'm really happy about because I'm actually about to go with a Haswell i5, and I'm just going to wait till June 2nd, and then if I have the money at that point, we will be bringing you a review of some other cool stuff. Now here's my problem. Go ahead.
Since we're talking about what they're changing, I guess my question is that it? Like, are they making any changes to things like cache or effective clock? Are they making any changes to performance? Or is it just
Base clock on the Devil's Canyon i7 is supposed to be 4 gigahertz, whereas the current i7 4770K is 3.5.
okay?
So there's a significant improvement.
I was gonna say
there.
that's pretty noticeable.
The
and it's gonna boost
clock is supposed to be 4.4 instead of 3.9.
Okay.
Cache is the same. TDP is about an 8-watt difference.
Yeah, because I don't think they'll be changing the cache at all or anything, Cody, because I don't think they're aiming at like the Extreme series here, because that'll be Haswell E later this year. They're just aiming at the Enthusiasts, so they're just improving upon what was broken with Haswell. So really, and then the increased clock rate is really great, and that's something that is coming because they have a better thermal interface design. They can ramp up that clock rate higher. So
hopefully.
yeah.
Hopefully.
Because I mean, I don't want, I'm really excited for what they're doing here, and I don't think it's going to be too big of a change because they don't want it to be way overly priced. Because I'm not paying, for whatever the i5 version is going to be. I'm not going to pay, 300 something for that.
It's
It's got to
supposed
be
to
around the
be
same
right
price.
around the $250 mark, by the way.
Yeah, so it should be around where I want to pay for an i5. And the i7 will probably be towards the upper 300-ish, rather than lower 300 like the current i7.
No, it looks like, or at least from the document that I'm reading, it's going to be at least $290 for an i7.
Okay.
Whereas the high-end i5 will be closer to $250.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Which is roughly $50 more than your current like 3570K Ivy or
Well, your current Haswell is 230.
or it's about $10 to $20 more than your current Haswell series.
But
Which really,
the issue isn't a big deal.
yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, for the performance increase that you're getting, that's actually not a bad price.
Yeah, I mean, if you're paying 10 or 20 bucks more, so that not only is your performance a little bit better, but you're paying for that extra thermal paste and possibly a better heat spreader. I don't know, heat spreader. I mean, it's solid copper. There's not really anything you can do about it. But you're paying a little bit for that, and which also includes the manufacturing process of that. So I don't think that it's overpriced at all, because not only are you getting better performance, but you're getting beyond the normal overclocking capabilities of something. And I think what they're aiming for, actually, in a way, is kind of what AMD has done with their overclocking, where you can buy an AMD CPU and just ramp it beyond belief. And I think that that's what they're planning to do with this. They're planning to have that thermal interface design so good that if you have the cooling to do so and the VRMs on your motherboard to handle it, you're going to be able to do that clock up beyond what expected.
That's the problem that Intel has always had is with voltage. That's why you couldn't really get any of their previous processors up to terribly high, because most of the motherboards couldn't support that high voltage, and that's because AMD enthusiasts were always the ones who were pushing the bar with the extreme cooling and the extreme overclocking. You know, they had these extreme motherboards. It was also cheaper to manufacture those parts.
Yeah.
So AMD was always classified as the budget CPU.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
Intel is trying to say, hey, by the way, we exist, and if you can push us that far, we're going to win. And so they're just trying to like boost their ego so that they can show people, hey, by the way, we're interested in what you've been doing. We're going to try and make this thing for you guys now.
I think that's really cool. Now, I don't think that dies down what AMD can do in any way. I think the AMD stuff will still win when it comes to really I'm talking like overclocking competition type stuff.
Well, yeah, but when you're looking at like an AMD processor versus this Intel processor, AMD doesn't care.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at their 9000 series, it's, you know, how fat can we make this heatsink, and how much voltage can we shove into this thing before it just dies?
And you know,
where Intel is saying, okay, instead of just putting more stuff into it, let's make it more efficient, effective. Let's make it a better processor. You can spend a little bit more money, and you won't be able to push it as far with the overclock potential. But its performance is at least at base is greater. Whereas with AMD, it's always been your performance at base is not. I don't want to say not comparable, but not as high.
Yeah.
But you have the ability to go far beyond what an Intel can do.
Yeah.
As long as you have the money to back it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I think all right, so when the 9590 came out, the 9000 series AMD processors, it was the first true, what I felt and other people have felt too, the true, like, enthusiast-grade CPU that came out, where they stopped caring about price so much, they stopped caring about efficiency. They said, people want overclocking, and we're going to give them overclocking. And so they did it simply by taking their previous architecture, which was totally great at overclocking, and they just jammed more power in it, which makes sense because their previous architecture was already so good at it. So that makes sense on the point, and I think that Intel's not doing the same thing, but Intel is trying to approach the enthusiast level product where we don't want what everybody else buys. We want something better, not necessarily way more expensive, but we want something that's quite a bit better than what the stock would be at doing enthusiast type things such as overclocking.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for it.
Things that Intel does, and this one, honestly, it makes no sense to me, and if someone can explain to me the logic behind this, that would be great. But what's up with Intel doing the unlocked Intel Pentium 20th Anniversary Edition? How many people are going to be buying a Pentium to overclock?
I didn't hear about this.
Pentium is just a really old name.
I know. But they're doing a Pentium Anniversary Edition that's supposed to be unlocked.
I'm thinking that's for like extreme budgets. Maybe mobile line? I don't know.
What I could be doing, maybe they're
Give me
approaching...
an i3 unlock. I'd rather have that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they might be doing that for, though? Just a little brainstorm thought. So people like to do extreme overclocking. I actually want to get into it, but it's really expensive because you need the liquid nitrogen and stuff. But, you know, if you can, you know, have a $50 CPU that can actually compete in an extreme overclocking sort of competition, that way you're spending way less on the CPU and saves you money and something like that. It could be an introductory maybe to people wanting to do something like really showing what...
Do you really think Intel cares enough about the overclocking competitions to throw that much R&D into making a whole new chip? That
maybe it's not a whole new chip.
Something that's such a small...
It could just be the same old thing, but they're doing it in a way that's going to let it overclock more, so that you're not... I mean, you might not even be getting extreme overclocks like, you know, 5-6 gigahertz, but extreme for the architecture that was built.
In a documentation by Anantech, they had actually apparently I don't know if they talked to Intel or if they got the information from Intel via their website, but the Pentium unlock is actually focused at cheap gaming-based Pentium because of the fact that you can take a dual-core 3.2 gigahertz with a relatively low wattage rating and apply 50 to 100% overclock.
Okay, so I guess that'll be a good combo to go with a 750 Ti.
Yeah.
No.
It's aiming for budget builds
Well,
Okay.
I think
with extreme overclock potential. They're saying that it can. They're saying it can go anywhere from 4.8 to 6.4 gigahertz,
you
but
know.
it will more likely be closer to the 5 to 5.5 range.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually don't think this is just. I mean, I think it's for budget, but it might not even be so much for budget as it is for specific gaming builds, because you don't need more than a dual core for a gaming build for the most part.
Yeah, but that's also
some
very
games-
limiting. Like, it's going to be for budget because if you have the money, you're best off going with like a quad core because more and more games are supporting, especially as DX12 comes out.
Yeah, your video.
Um,
Never mind.
what they're focusing on here is they want people to remember that Pentium is a thing. They want people to actually purchase Pentium, and they want to see Pentium become in the gaming market. It's got a 3 megabyte cache. It's at 3.2 gigahertz. It's comparable to like the first and second series i3 processors in that respect.
Yeah,
But if you can apply that much overclock to it,
Yeah.
the VRM syncs on the
Upwards.
motherboard for those are going to have to be insane, though. The board price is going to go up in that situation.
well, it's a Haswell, so no, it's not. It's going to be any Haswell motherboard that has the potential to overclock.
oh wait, okay.
And it's a low wattage.
I thought this
It's
was
53
no,
watts.
it's going to be on the Haswell socket.
Yeah.
And it supports.
Okay, I didn't get that. Okay, I hadn't heard about this. So
No. It's when they release it, it's Celeron, Pentium, i3, 5, and 7, all on Haswell. I mean, that's
Yeah,
been a thing. They've always been making.
Why did I forget
still
that?
been, yeah, no, they've still been doing Celeron and Pentium
Yeah,
with
that's
the i series. It's just people don't really care.
Yeah, I know. I see laptops with those, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah, no, it's useless. But
Well,
now what they're
good for
saying is,
Chromebooks. They're good for
yeah.
Chromebooks.
So now what they're saying is, hey, you can spend a minimal amount of money, take the money that you're not spending on this processor, spend it on a better motherboard, better cooling, overclock it, just shove it to the max, put as much power into this thing as you can, play games on it.
Yeah, I think it's cool, but I
And
don't
then,
think I don't think it's so much for budget in the same situation though, because you're going to be spending about the same amount of money and getting the extreme cooling in the next motherboard.
well,
But if you want
we've seen with my computer, you don't even need extreme cooling. Like if you're on the stock cooler for Intel, I can push mine
extreme
to
overclock. I mean, when you start applying more voltage and you start getting up higher, the temperatures shoot up. It's a crazy.
Yeah, but even on my computer on Ivy, I can take my i5 all the way up to 4.6 before I need to swap cooler. And I'm on the stock air cooler.
Yeah, and
I
it's
can go
not
up to
very
4.6.
good.
If this Pentium, which already has a lower TDP than i3 and i5, has the potential for a 50 to 100% overclock, imagine what a stock cooler will be able to shove out on that thing.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not even that you're going to have to spend more money on a better cooler. You won't have to spend a bunch of money on a better cooler because it's already such a low watt component.
Okay.
You won't have to put a bunch of extra money into extra things. You'll just have to get a motherboard that supports the amount of overclock potential that the
It'll
processor.
probably ship with a cooler that's better at removing the heat too, for something like
Yeah, since they're doing the refresh.
Yeah, since it's specifically for overclocking, they'll
So
probably.
I'm actually excited about that
Now-
because now I can say, hey, Pentium is good again.
You know
Yeah.
what? This could actually be
Remember-
something really good to use for like our Minecraft server, Cody.
Yeah, like remember back in the day, when Windows XP was still alive and that was a thing, and like Pentium 4 Hyperthread, man, you were just blazing a trail.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do again.
I wasn't.
Computer I sold Chase.
Yeah. You can play Borderlands 1 on a Pentium Hyperthread.
I totally believe that. But yeah, something like that would actually be really
Good.
good for a Minecraft server if that comes out because you only need one core and you need a high clock rate to run.
Well, we've seen today that Java supports up to quad. Doesn't support
true.
Octa.
But
But with the overclock potential, it's not going to matter.
yeah, exactly. I think that's something that's going to be really.
This is going to be good for people who don't really, I don't want to say don't care, but aren't as concerned with games like Crysis
yeah.
or Battlefield, online multiplayer shooters,
They're, yeah. They're looking for
large TF2 maps.
Yeah.
People who don't really concern themselves with that style of game, people who are more concerned with like dungeon crawlers, light MMOs. I don't want to say
MMO in
casual.
that situation
I don't
because
wanna
most MMOs only use one core.
Yeah.
So,
Well, no, that's not true because WoW actually supports dual.
WoW supports dual, really. I had heard one.
WoW supports dual core 64-bit.
Okay, I did not know that. They need to revamp their architecture to support.
That's to my understanding anyway.
Okay, I've always
Um,
one, but that was just on forums, so I don't know if that was completely correct. I haven't actually looked into how their engine runs itself.
But the thing that we're looking at with this is, Intel's trying to say, look, you don't have to spend a bunch of money to get a gaming computer. If you want to play good games at decent resolution, at decent frame rate, you don't have to spend a bunch of money. Buy us. You can get this cheap processor. You can spend the same amount of money on AMD, and yeah, the overclock potential is a lot greater, but our performance is better. So, you can push this thing not as far, but it's still going to be, just about the same. It's essentially saying you can buy either one you want, but if you buy ours, you get our brand.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all they're doing at this point.
Yeah, I see that. And, yeah. Okay, I wanted to get into something.
The other thing that I'm looking at for WoW, it does actually support up to octa-core. You just have to go in and manually set it.
Oh no, I've tried that. It doesn't work half the time.
With the set process affinity mask?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
In config.wtf.
I've changed it, and it doesn't work.
Did you change it to 255?
I changed it to whatever the octa-core was.
Yeah, that's 255.
And I also tried quad-core with it. It didn't do anything at all to my performance.
Did you also go into Task Manager and set the process affinity?
I believe I did, or at least checked it. So.
According to patch 3.3.2, which released back in 2010, adjusting it manually is no longer needed unless you're trying to run on specific cores. It is now uncapped, so it will run on whatever core your OS deems as fit. Which to me means that it will just run on whatever is available.
Yeah, okay. So I wanted to talk about sockets a little bit and chipsets. So before I talk about what Z97...
I know exactly what you're going to rant about, Ethan.
Yeah, you probably do. So before I get into what Z97 brings to us, which Z97 is great, I'm really excited to see the new chipset. I actually want to get into the fact that we might have a little oopsie-poopsie with Intel here.
It's just going to be a bunch of people that don't do their research, Ethan.
Yes, it is, but that doesn't make it okay. It's not. You can't just say
it doesn't make it okay for them for being stupid.
Yeah. But yeah, you can't say that. That's just for if people don't do the research, that's their fault. That doesn't mean that it's still an okay thing for Intel to do because people are stupid. So you make a good point.
Okay, but we can't cater to stupid people, Ethan. We just can't. That's not a good business model. That's what got us.
What are the Haswell refreshes really, kind of focusing on?
Yeah. Okay. The whole
stupid people.
Yeah. The whole thing with catering to stupid people is what got us Bush in office, and look where we are now.
Let's not get into that though. So
politics are a bitch.
They are in every situation actually, and I'll just say, really quick that everyone's fucked up.
Yeah. Moving on.
You can't blame it on any one person. It's everyone at the same time because they're all idiots.
Moving on.
Anyway, yeah.
Let's not get into politics.
We shouldn't on here, yeah. So, okay. The thing that I'm going to bitch about is the fact that we have Haswell and we have Haswell Refresh. And we have Haswell Refresh. Well, sorry. Yeah, we have Haswell and Haswell Refresh. They both run on LGA 1150. They both run on Z87, Z97, or whatever the other chipsets that nobody really cares about are. And then we have the Haswell Refresh K series, which whatever it's actually going to be called, the overclockable Haswell Refresh series, that is supposedly going to run on LGA 1150, which makes sense, but only work with Z97, not work with Z87. Now you're right about the stupid people thing, Daniel. But my issue with that is if somebody purchases a Z87 ROG motherboard and they're like, yay, this is going to last me forever, and, I'm really excited to keep this for the next 2 to 3 years, and then the next series of processors come out on the same socket, but doesn't work with their chipset, they're going to be really angry. Now, AMD has done sort of the same thing, where AMD, we had AM3 and AM3 Plus. They were actually the same socket, and you could put an AM3 Plus CPU in an AM3 socket, and it would just bottleneck it, which it actually would because of the terrible chipset and stuff. But AMD added the plus in there so that people knew you need a plus and a plus to match them, even though they're the same pin layout. And I hope Intel does something like that to fix it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you're building a computer, you are required to do your research. You have to know componentry. You also have to do your research to see why you're buying the items that you're purchasing. If you're not, it's your fault that you're wasting your money.
Okay, that's not
Here's the thing. If they buy... Now, this would be like if I bought a Sandy Bridge CPU, or had a Sandy Bridge motherboard, rather, and got an Ivy Bridge CPU, it would be my fault, because I didn't do the research. I did done.
Okay, that's not my point. That's not my point.
But
my
your point is that Intel is saying, hey, look, we have all these cool things, but we also have these unlocked things, and they run on a different chipset.
No, I get that. That's not my problem. My problem is somebody might purchase a really high-end motherboard previously, before we even knew that there was going to be a Haswell refresh, back when we thought that Broadwell was going to be the next thing that was going to come out this year. And they buy it, what?
If they bought it before they knew any of this was coming out, they shouldn't expect it to be future-proof.
Okay, no.
Yeah.
So that argument falls apart right there.
That's not my thing. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to put this out there. Okay. It's going to piss people off. Let me put it that way. People are going to do the research. People are going to be like, oh, I have Z87. That requires Z97. I can't buy it. They're going to do the research. For the most part, we're not going to have idiots that buy it, and then they're like, oh, shit, this doesn't work because they're stupid. That's not going to happen very often when it comes to high-end motherboards like I'm talking about and stuff. My point is, people are going to be annoyed that Haswell Refresh K is going to be built on a specific chipset. They're not going to want to buy a new motherboard to get the new stuff. Now, that's not saying that it's a bad idea. It's not saying that Intel doesn't have their reasons. It's saying that it's going to piss people off. Because I almost went with Haswell sooner and got a Z87, and I would have been terribly pissed off when I read about today that we're going to have Z97 only Haswell Refresh K.
Okay, but check this out. If you buy preemptively, it is your fault.
Yeah.
It is your fault for purchasing before adequate information was released to the general public. It is your fault for purchasing before you had prior knowledge. It is your fault for purchasing before you knew what you were getting yourself into.
No, I'm not.
No. If you buy this thing and you didn't know that the thing that you wanted this thing for was going to be different because information about the thing that you wanted it for isn't out yet, your fault for buying the thing.
I'm not talking about things that you wanted it for. I'm talking about they buy a motherboard. Maybe someone doesn't want to spend another $200 on a motherboard just so that they can get the new processor. They'd rather just buy the new processor.
Okay, but
technically the same processor.
I would rather never have to buy another motherboard. So why don't they just always use the same socket and same chipset?
Okay, but it's still called Haswell, and it's still on the same socket.
Okay, but you can use the different chipset, right? Can you use the different chipset and it'll just bottleneck?
No.
I don't even know.
I can't use it at all.
Yeah.
You have to use you have to have Z97 for the Haswell refresh unlock, but Z97 also supports Broadwell, which is 5th gen.
Okay, so if you didn't know, I guess here's my thing. Like, if you bought the motherboard and you had Haswell, and then you get the unlock version of Haswell refresh, you already bought this processor, and you dedicated yourself to this. Like, when you buy something, that's it. That's game, set, match. You dedicated yourself to whatever you bought.
Yeah, yeah.
When the new stuff comes out, if it's on a different architecture, if it's on a different chipset, if it's on a different socket, it sucks.
Yeah,
okay, I bought Ivy expecting the next gen to be on the same socket. Look where it got me. It's not. So now I have to go buy new stuff. I'm not mad about it because my system is good.
Yeah,
I don't need to buy new stuff.
I get that.
But I bought it before the information was available.
Yeah.
I bought it before I knew that when whatever next gen socket was going to come out was going to be, or next gen CPU was going to come out, was on a different socket, different chipset, different whatever.
Yeah.
So that's on me. It is no different to anyone else. Okay. It doesn't matter to me if they went out and they bought all this stuff and now they have to get new stuff because they bought the other stuff. That's their thing.
They should put it on a different socket or add some form, which they probably will, a different name to it to identify it.
So okay, Ethan, your argument is that they should have a different socket so that people know. They should look at what the requirements are for that processor.
Yeah.
No.
Literally, if you're gonna buy this thing, you need to know what you're getting into.
Yeah, you shouldn't look at just, okay, this is an IGA 11.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying no matter what, they will know. They will do the research. They will know that it's not going to work. What I'm trying to say is it's going to make them angry that they have the exact same socket but can't use the new stuff because it seems stupid to them. Even though they did the research, it still will make them angry.
So they should add a plus to the name, which does nothing. Like you said that AMD did the same thing, but they added a plus to the name, so it's better.
I'm saying
what they're doing is straight up lying, like it's the exact same socket, just with a different number. Or a plus, a symbol added at the end. How is that better?
My thing is...
Because people don't associate their
just the socket number in their decision making.
Okay, Ethan. When people build computers, they know about computers. They did the research before they bought the parts. Okay, if they didn't, they shouldn't be buying parts. It's just as simple as that. They should be asking someone else, is this going to work? If they don't know, they should not buy.
It's not
that is the system that we need to go with. People need to educate themselves before they make their purchase.
I can't figure out the way to get this out.
No, I know what you're saying. People are going to be upset because they bought this thing, and you know what? You should be able to take this processor that looks exactly the same and functions primarily the same and throw it into this exact same fitting die, and it should just work. But it doesn't. That's the thing. That'll anger me, but not to the extent that you're talking about.
I'm just saying people are going to be annoyed by that.
Okay.
I don't like it. People are going to be annoyed by it. I'm not saying that
people are annoyed when I walk down the street and whistle. It doesn't mean that I'm going to stop. It doesn't mean I'm going to change my tune because they don't like the song I'm whistling. Adding a plus or changing the name of the socket, which you can't because it's the same socket. Okay, you can't. That doesn't really function like that. They could, but it would be stupid. So if they say, okay, this is like the 1150.1. Let's pull up Microsoft here. The 1150.1 socket, it only supports unlocked Haswell refresh processors. That doesn't change the fact that these people already bought this stuff before they knew the facts that this is not going to be supported on my chipset.
Yeah, but it makes them feel better.
Okay, no, it doesn't. Well, how does it make them feel better? Because Intel changed the name of it.
No,
they have the same socket. It is the same physical socket, but it runs on a different chipset. It would be the same as if they re-released Ivy and called it like Poison Oak. Okay, it's the same 1155 socket. It's the same processor, a little bit better with an unlock. Okay, but it's not going to make me feel any better that I bought mine before I actually knew what I was getting into, before I knew that this new one was going to run on like the Z78 chipset, because I bought mine with the assumption that the new one was going to work, or I bought mine before I knew it was going to work, and I thought that it would just be really cool if like Intel worked with me this one time, but they didn't. It doesn't make me feel any better as a person because I went and threw $200 out on a processor and a motherboard that I had no idea if the new ones were going to work.
I get what you mean.
Okay.
I still,
it doesn't make...
Regardless, I still feel it's annoying, but we should probably move on because we've been on this for about 20 minutes.
I just don't feel like it would make people feel any better as a person if we changed the name of the thing. It's still the thing, and it still happened, and
but
people still did what they did.
And so but some people don't know that AM3 and AM3 Plus are the same thing. And what if it was the same way for...
So people not knowing makes it better?
No.
It ties back to my original statement. They need to do the research before they make a purchase.
Yeah.
We cannot live with a business model that people are retarded and we need to cater to their stupid and their inability to do research.
Okay.
If they don't do the research and they make the purchase, that is not my fault as an engineer. If you download my software and you don't know how to use it because you didn't read the README file, doesn't make me a bad software designer.
Yeah. No, I get that.
You didn't do your end of the bargain.
Yeah.
People, as purchasers and consumers, need to know what they are getting into before they purchase. Welcome to America. That's why we have so many problems. People just go out and buy shit.
Yeah.
We buy
Yeah.
shit to put in their shit. Why do you think we have storage units? Okay,
Okay.
we buy.
Let's move on to what Z97 is all about,
Okay.
which I've been looking into that a lot lately, and I'm assuming you have maybe some.
A
But
little bit.
Z97, okay, what I've told you about it, you
Mhm.
understand.
Yeah.
Z97 brings in, basically, it brings in SATA Express and better overclocking settings and not necessarily capabilities, because it's not so reliant on the chipset, but making it easier to overclock and more convenient to get higher clock rates without having to mess with a bunch of nitpicky stuff.
Mhm.
And so now a lot of people are, all right, when Z97 first came out, I thought it was stupid because I thought it was a teeny little upgrade that lets you use also the newer stuff. I thought it was stupid to just do SATA Express, but if they're going to continue using Z97 for Broadwell, I'm more okay with it now. Z97, no, SATA Express is something that people are making a big deal about and people aren't making a big deal about. And it really is something that actually should be made a big deal about, but we're not going to see its effects until later this year and the beginning of next year. Mainly later this year, when Broadwell does come out, or early next year if that's when it comes out, but it should be later this year, that SATA Express lets you utilize 10 gigabits a second of bandwidth, which compared to the 6 gigabit a second that SATA 3 brought, or yeah, SATA 3, um, it's giving you the PCI bandwidth that you would get from like a PCIe mounted card on a cable that is essentially a SATA cable. It does have it's the same size too. It's just got a little thing that sticks out so you know, because it's totally different. It's not backwards compatible in any way.
SATA Express cables are fucking gigantic.
Huh?
SATA Express is more than twice as wide as a regular SATA cable. It's literally 2 SATA ports and then an extra port next to it.
Yeah.
For 4 gigabits more.
They're monsters.
Yeah.
But it's actually something that's going to be really cool because SSD manufacturers, they have been pushing SSDs further and harder, but they can push them a lot harder. They just haven't done it because they knew that it wouldn't work because nobody would buy them. And then we had a few PCIe mounted things, but the company is not, companies even like Samsung and stuff, which they never made one, but they're not going to go ahead and manufacture super high-end memory to just put in the PCI drives that a few people that will buy. What their solution is instead is putting some of the regular stuff that they use in their SSDs on a PCB and then doing RAID built-in hardware RAID on that PCB and then plugging in the SATA so it acts as one drive and you have the better bandwidth of one drive, making it simpler so that you don't have to do the RAIDing process yourself. But now that they actually are going to have the capability to push the SSDs even further, we're going to start seeing them push them to almost a gigabyte a second. Well, yeah,
I'm more excited
over a gigabyte a second, just because they can manufacture all their memory chips now to function faster without having to worry about almost no one buying them. They're going to be in everything.
Daniel, do you have any comment on this one?
Well, I was gonna say I'm more excited as far as like SSD support goes for the better MSATA like SSD support for the ones that you can just plug in right on the board.
That's what I was about to say too.
Like,
yeah.
Samsung has a 500 gig for $290.
I didn't. That must be brand new? I've been looking for them and I haven't found that one yet. Yeah. So we're getting M.2 drives, which is uses the SATA Express interface, and an M.2 is just the connector. It's just like a stick, a PCB board. It looks like a RAM stick, except with a connector out the side instead. And I'm sure they'll start coming out with ones. I mean, maybe G-Skill will even make some or something, even though they haven't gotten to that market. That's something that they could do. They'll probably put metal shrouds around them at some point. But it just plugs directly into the motherboard. It's sleek, and it's hidden. You don't see it. It makes cable management easier, and we can get just higher performance out of them. And I think one of the biggest advantages to those is mini ITX systems are becoming really popular with people. And one of the big downfalls of mini ITX is a lot of times they don't have very many SATA ports. So, like for example, the Asus Impact mini ITX, the Impact 6, it only has 4 SATA ports. And if you're doing a mini ITX system, you may only be doing, you probably won't be using a lot of hard drives, but maybe you are. And so what you could do is it also has the M.2 slot, so you could add an M.2 drive in, so you can actually have 5 drives. So adding an extra drive like that's really cool. You could do your SSD on there and all your hard drives on SATA. So I'm liking it quite a bit.
I think the whole new SATA thing is cool. The whatever, I don't remember what it's called.
SATA Express.
Yeah, that one. I think that's cool and all. It's great that we can now get more theoretical bandwidth out of the things that we already couldn't hit max theoretical bandwidth before.
Yeah.
Because hard drive manufacturers suck.
Yep.
I feel like if hardware manufacturers didn't suck, we wouldn't need this new standard. Because we already have cables that can hit a theoretical max of 6 gigabits a second. It's just that nothing can utilize that.
Well,
I do like the M.2. I think that is cool.
The M.2 is amazing. Yeah, that's the big
little. I think that new little one, as compared to using MSATA, because MSATA has actual physical limitations that we've hit with SSD. I think the new M.2 standard is actually the nice part of it.
I think that's the best part of it. But SATA Express 2, though, if you think about it, we're talking gigabits compared to megabytes when we talk about drives. So you get an SSD that does like 500 megabytes a second, and what would you be looking at in that case in gigabits? What would that be? I don't know why I can't math right now. So.
I know what you're saying, but here's the thing.
Yeah, see, that is 4 gigabits a second.
Okay.
So that's pushing fairly close
to
what the limitations of regular SATA 3 are.
Yeah. But here's the thing with that. We already have SATA 3, and it already has an established theoretical maximum bandwidth of 6 gigabits a second. The reason we don't see drives hitting that is because the drive manufacturers haven't figured out how to get to 6 gigabits per second yet.
Yeah.
It's not a limitation of the cable, because the cable can theoretically hit it.
The cable has never been an issue.
And the ports can theoretically hit it as long as you have supported chipset, et cetera, which you have to in order to have the SATA 3 connectivity. It's that hard drive manufacturers are actually behind in the technology, and we're getting there with SSDs. We're getting a lot closer than we were in the past, especially with like the new SandForce chipsets. But we haven't gotten there yet. And that's not really the cable. I don't think we need a new cable. I think we need new hard drive technology. I think we need to revamp the way we think about drive interface.
I agree with
get
you.
it to actually hit the speeds that we've supposedly supposed to have been getting for like a decade now.
Yeah.
So, 1, 2, and 3 all support 1.5, 3, 6 gigabits a second. Nothing hits them.
Yeah, to me, it's one thing when you have like Thunderbolt that supports 10, 20, even the new one that's supposedly going to support 40 gigabits per second, because it can daisy chain, so multiple things are sending information through that. But we're nowhere near utilizing 10 gigabits for hard drives. It's just, I don't see the need for SATA Express.
Yeah.
It's cool, and it will be great in the future.
And by the time it's feasible, they're probably going to have a different port that's the same bandwidth, but not like the equivalent of 3 cables thick wide.
Yeah.
They're essentially going back to Pato with that one.
Yeah.
Like when I saw that, I was just like, yeah, I'd rather just use the 8 SATA ports as SATA ports on like the Intel Workstation one. It has 4 regular SATA 6 gigs, and then the 2 SATA Express, but you can use it as just 8 individual SATA ports, and I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
I think eSATA is cool, or SATA Express, sorry, is cool mostly for the fact that the new M.2 standard will actually be really nice and really effective.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that it will be moving to its own thing as compared to just piggybacking off of a SATA port.
Mm-hmm.
You find a lot of time with motherboard manufacturers, instead of giving the M-SATA its own dedicated SATA slot, it will just piggyback off of like the last on the regular SATA line and overwrite it if it's in use.
Yeah.
So that's really nice. I hope that they do that instead.
I
like that the maximum bandwidth for M.2 is equivalent, if not better. M.2 is just really nice. It's just SATA Express. I feel like that's kind of the thing that's following behind on the road.
Yeah. Here's the cool thing, though. What motherboard manufacturers need to do, which MSI has done with their new Gaming 7 Z97 board, is they're not including SATA Express cables built into the board itself. What they're doing is you can get M.2 to SATA Express adapters. Therefore, the M.2 port is there for either an SSD or a SATA Express adapter. So if you feel pleased to use SATA Express, you can get that port on there, but they don't put it there and clutter things up because most people won't use them. So they're making it specific. So that right there shows that M.2 really is what's coming in. It's really incredible. And all SATA Express really is traveling through the same area that M.2 is. It's just a cable instead of a chip. So,
and SATA to SATA adapters already exist, and they're like $10.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying this is cool because if you want to use SATA Express, you can, but it doesn't need to clutter up your board if you're not using it.
It's literally the same thing as M-SATA, though.
It is, but it's with SATA. No, what I'm saying is with SATA Express. It's what I'm saying is it's
this little tiny connector, and if you don't want to use it, you don't have to.
Yes, but I'm saying
which is the same as M-SATA.
No, okay, okay. M-SATA doesn't support SATA Express connectors. I'm saying
no, I know that.
Two SATA Express connectors. I'm saying they don't need to integrate any SATA Express connectors on the motherboard itself.
SATA Express connectors in and of themselves don't take up very much space because all they are is regular SATA, the two SATA ports next to each other, and then another port that's smaller than most SATA ports next to it. It takes up like the size of or that extra port is like 2/3 of a SATA port. So it's like you have 8 SATA ports, and then those two should you choose to use it. It doesn't take up a lot of clutter because it gives you extra SATA ports.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because can't you use SATA Express as regular SATA should you have the cables for it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So then
One
what's
SATA Express port has 2 SATA ports.
Okay. So then, yeah, I mean, I guess that's cool. That's good. Backwards compatibility is always good.
Yeah, backwards compatibility is good, and it's also, I mean, I really like M.2. I'm really impressed. In fact,
I feel like that should be their push item.
Yeah. You know, when I get my 1 terabyte SSD for my games, I'll probably go with an M.2 just because it's better for cable management.
I really feel like
it pretties it up, it's faster, and it's simpler.
You know what I want? I want a 4 terabyte SSD that SanDisk is coming out with.
Yeah, that's good.
You want it, you're not going to get it. I'm
4
actually
terabytes this year, and they said next year they should have 8 and potentially 16 gigabyte SSDs coming out or 16 terabyte SSDs coming out for servers.
I like the sound of that.
I like that. That's really good.
Terabyte SSD.
Who was it that made the, what was it, like, it was terabyte, I think, tape, like cassette tape.
Sony, the one that's like 100 terabytes?
Yes. It's like 187 terabyte or something, or 187. There was a 1 somewhere in it, and it's a cassette tape. And they're like, yeah, by the way, we're bringing this thing back, and it's for workstation servers for backing up data, where it doesn't matter how long it takes, and it's on something this big.
And then you can just ship that off-site and keep it somewhere safe.
Yeah, like no big deal.
Yep. So we've covered a lot of the PC stuff. I do want to mention something. It's actually a bit out of date and old, but I should have mentioned it on the website, and I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about it here. When we get one ourselves to review, I'll review it. But the new Fantex Enthoo Primo, as well as one that's actually brand new, the new Fantex Enthoo Pro. And Fantex is a company that you guys have probably heard about. If you guys haven't, they've been producing high-performance heat sinks and fans for a while. The Fantex fans aren't quite as good, quiet. The ratio between how loud they are compared to how much air they move is like Noctua, say, but they're not going to be quite as expensive, and they're not, brown, which a lot of people have a big issue with having brown fans.
I hate that about those fans.
Yeah, I mean, if you can hide your fans, if you're just doing, if you figure out a way to hide your fans, you could use them and they'd be fine.
Just spray paint them.
Yeah. But Fantex does have better looks for their fans, and they do have like LED.
Noctua would make if they just started coloring their fans.
But Noctua doesn't want to do that because it's their signature that if you see a brown fan in a case, 99% of the time it's a Noctua fan.
Okay, but I'm never going to buy one. I know a lot of people that won't buy one because of the color. I'm just saying, it would make a lot more money.
Spray paint them, though. But, yeah, you don't want to do that. And, yeah, no, I get that. And Noctua, I kind of see why they're doing it, though. And maybe they'll change it.
It's a business idea, let's just say that.
It's a terrible business idea, but they don't give a shit because people still buy it anyway. They're not looking to make massive amounts of money. They're looking to make the best fans in the world.
They could do that in different colors.
Shh.
I think they should do what
Colors
Motorola
don't
did.
directly affect performance.
They should have a Noctua maker where you can choose the colors of your fans like Motorola. That would sell me. I'd never buy anything else.
Yep. No, that would actually be like next gen. That would be a good idea, and you can interchange the plates on them that change colors.
Yeah. Hey, Noctua, get on that.
So
I would pay a
anyway,
premium for those fans.
yeah. So Fantex, and that is with an S. I'm not saying Fantex like saying that they. Why can't you remember the word?
Because you're Ethan.
Because I'm Ethan. Anyway, I'm not saying like Fantex's new case. I'm saying Fantex is the company. It's with an S. Fantex came out a while back with their Enthoo Primo. It's a full tower case, probably the nicest full tower case you can get there. It's right alongside the NZXT Phantom 820, comparative in price and features. But it has some really cool things like dual power supply support. It has a 11-port PWM fan connector in the back. It supports dual quad 120 radiators or dual triple 140 radiators, one on top, one on bottom. Has a very sleek look. It's got a light switch to turn all your lights on and off inside. It's made up from partially aluminum and steel rather than steel and plastic. So really cool case, and we'll give you a better overview of that, but you guys should go check it out. But one of the coolest things, and that's a $250 case, so that's a very expensive case. Recently, Fantex just showed off that they're going to be announcing those cases since it is a premium, more enthusiast case. But what they're trying to do is do sort of what Case Labs has the really high-end cases, but you're also going to spend like $500-600 on a Case Labs case or more for something equivalent in size. And so that enthusiast area is great, but if you want to be an enthusiast, but you're an enthusiast on a budget, you need something better, but you don't want the generic, here's a steel chassis with plastic pieces on it to make it look better. So what Fantex is really approaching that with their Primo line, and they're actually going to be doing, they have the black and they have the white, but they're going to be doing two-tone designs. They're going to be doing one that's, I can't even remember, I think they're going to do a black and red, and I think they might even be doing like a black and orange or something, maybe they'll do like a black and green or something too. They're doing some really cool two-tone cases to show that you can
be the H440's colors.
The H440's colors are crazy, but the H440 I wouldn't say is well, okay, it's a mid-tower enthusiast case. The H440,
I know, but I'm just saying you just listed off like half of or almost all of the H440's colors.
Well, I'm talking about, does the H440, do they have the colors changed on the inside as well, or is the inside still just black or white?
Let me pull it back up.
Go ahead and pull it up.
Website opened up too.
Because Fantex is actually changing, like you'll get the outside one color, the inside another color, and that's what's
No,
good.
this has the
Neat.
like it's black and then all of the accents change color. Like so there is some internal colors that change.
Okay, because Fantex is approaching a really high-end enthusiast level without the $500-600 price tag for a case. They're looking at $250. And what's even cooler is these new two-tone cases, even though it costs them more to manufacture them, they openly stated that it's harder because they're painting them different colors and everything. It's going to be the exact same price. So you're also not going to go, oh, I don't want to spend that extra $30 to get the other color. I'm just going to get the white one. You pick the color you want. It's the same price. And so it's really cool that they're doing that. And so that's a new announcement for their Primo. But and I'm not quite sure when those will be available. But another thing that they're doing is their Enthoo Pro, which is a full tower case. But this is focusing not on enthusiast level, but this is focusing on someone that wants a full tower that's not standard run-of-the-mill. It's actually different. Supports a crazy amount of features, but also, again, isn't expensive. So we have this new Enthoo Pro from Fantex. I highly encourage you to check it out so you understand what I'm talking about. It's got plastic on the front, but it's designed to look like it's brushed aluminum, and it does a very good job of that, and it doesn't attract fingerprints quite as much and stains and
That's
stuff.
never been done.
Huh? Oh. It is cool, though, because it goes along with the Primo look. It also supports, it doesn't support dual power supplies or anything like that. It's a little smaller than the Primo as well, but it does have really good cable management. You're looking at, covering up your drive cages a little better and stuff. And overall, it's something that you would expect from somebody like Roswell or Corsair or something pretty standard. it is a little bit run of the mill, but there are a few tweaks to it that do separate it, make it different, and add features. And it also has massive water cooling support. I believe you can do a quad. No, you can do a triple 120 or triple 140 in the top and bottom. Or no, the bottom is only a dual, I believe. But it has a
How
really.
about we look the information up and get viable, credible sources, so we know what the top and bottom fan sources are.
Okay.
If that was
I'm hearing a lot of I think and I heard and I think and I remember and I don't remember. And I'm interested in this case, but I want to know what it is and is not.
Okay.
this is
Well, what I was saying, the reason I was saying I think is because I was associating with another case by accident. I do know most of the specs of this case, so it wasn't me giving wrong.
I'll let you just pull it up because I just put it in chat.
Yeah, I already have it pulled up. So the Enthoo Pro is going to support in the top a triple 120 or triple 140. In the front, a double 120 or 140. The bottom is a two 120 or a single 140. And there's also a dual 120 on the side of the HDD cage, which is really cool. So you could actually mount a radiator on the side of your HDD cage. And so that's something that's really cool that they're offering. So now here's where the incredible part of this case comes in, though. So with all those features that are even still beyond what a lot of other cases standard can do, especially when it comes to liquid cooling, and even the aesthetics of it are really, really pleasing for a sleek look. If you like a sleek look, plus it's got a big window on the side, all that, it's only $99 or $89 for the non-windowed version. So you're looking at a case that's comparative to like $180 cases, but is $99.
Yeah, but
And-
that's where the entire industry is headed. If you looked at just over the past like 6 months, high quality cases have just been dropping in price.
They have, and then we've had higher quality ones to take the place.
Yeah.
But this is to another level, even more so than what the other guys have been doing. It's really, really, really cool to see a case that good that even now is still comparative to like $150, $180 cases, but is only $99.
The $150, $180 cases aren't plastic.
Aluminum or steel?
A lot of them are. No, this is steel still. It's just
No, it's plastic.
No, okay. That's not.
The Pro is plastic. It's just designed to look like it. It's
Yeah, it is
simulated brushed aluminum, as in not actually brushed aluminum.
The chassis is steel, is what I was saying. The chassis is still
But-
steel.
I know, but I'm saying that the $150, $180 cases now are not simulated brushed aluminum on the front. They're
It's usually actual aluminum.
metal on the outside.
Yeah,
Even the H440 has some exterior metal, and that's only $20 more.
Yeah, but you still, well, yeah, the H440 is also a small case. This is a full tower, which increases the price more. It's a good sized full tower too. It's about the size of Cody's case Thor. It's big.
I like Thor.
I'm just saying, like, you're comparing. You're saying it's comparable to $50 or $80 more cases when build quality wise, on the at least exterior, it's not.
Yeah, but interior is beyond what those cases are.
No, it just has more water cooling support. If that's what you do, yes, this works. But that's really the one thing that this has over other cases, and not everyone does water cooling.
No, it has better cable management. It's got better covers
A lot
for
of
your
cases have
hard
really good
drives.
cable management now.
It's got I am mega into cases, and I'm seriously impressed with this price point because of what I've seen elsewhere that's comparable. I mean, if you go on Newegg, I'm gonna go ahead and go on Newegg, and I'm gonna search full towers, and I'm gonna look at the under $100 cases, and just see if I can find any that are even fairly close to comparable in this situation. That is, if my computer will stop running at 1.3 gigahertz.
It's impossible.
Oh, it's impossible even with my fans cranked up. I don't know.
Well, maybe you should stop using AMD.
Oh, the shots have been fired.
So annoying because it's not AMD in any way. It's ASRock. Blame them.
My ASRock motherboard is just fine, and I have Intel, so
I was
Yeah,
gonna say
but
my
you didn't-
gigabyte is like doing perfect down here.
But neither of you pushed your CPU to 5 gigahertz and increased the V core beyond what you're supposed to.
That is your fault.
That is my fault. It's still.
So you can't blame ASRock for your fault.
I know. I was
You
just.
didn't undid the research.
He was blaming AMD, so I was gonna blame ASRock.
So what are we doing? We're looking at cases that are under $100 that are
Comparable to the
full
N2
size.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pull a few up from manufacturers that I know, like Cougar, Senti, NZXT.
NZXT, I got that one up.
There's one by Thermal.
Look
That's
at them.
actually
They're
just...
not that impressive
Where's my
compared.
shield? I need to download Portal for my shield. That just comes out today.
Oh, dude.
I
Nice.
misunderstood you completely and thought you said you need to download porn for your shield, but never mind.
Yes.
Well, he already has
Half-Life
that.
2 is coming out for the end of the year.
See,
Shield as well.
okay, see, look at
Left
this.
4 Dead 3 has been confirmed.
It's not as sleek inside. I'm looking at the NZXT one. It's not as sleek inside. It doesn't have cable management grommets, and it doesn't cover up your drives. And the outside is mesh, and it does have steel side panels, but the outside is mesh on the front, mesh and plastic. So if you look through the cases, it's, I mean, okay, here's
Okay, yeah, but if you spend $10 more, you can get everything that you just spoke about.
not,
Also, Ethan, how many people that are looking for budget builds nowadays go with full towers?
a lot of people actually. People like big cases. A lot of
Look
people
at where the industry is headed with every single type of component that's been coming out recently.
smaller, yes.
Smaller builds.
But that's not necessarily just for budget. A lot of people, you know, back when I was first building my PC, and if I had that amount of money right now, the N2 Pro would have been something I was in love with because I want a full tower. I like.
Yeah, but you're going with your experience. Like, when I bought my tower 2 years ago, I wanted a mid tower because I thought having a big case was going to hinder me because I can't move it very easily, and it takes up a lot of room, and I don't have a lot of places to put it.
But if you're
So if
getting
I
into-
went by my experience, then no one wants a big case because they're just annoying.
Yeah, I'm
Now
not.
I love my big
everybody
case.
wants a big case. I'm saying a lot of people that don't have a lot of money still want the full tower because they like a big case. They still want it to look good.
Most people that go with lower end builds don't care about having a gigantic case or don't want that.
Yeah, but then again, some people
Look at the
also
features
don't
that
want to
you were
spend a lot of
pushing.
money on a case either.
Yeah, so you don't... Like, there are other cases of comparable price on or off sale that aren't full tower. Like mid-tower cases especially, because they have lower manufacturing costs because they're just less metal.
But it doesn't matter what your guys' experience is. A lot of people do want a large case.
The
Even if,
majority don't, though, so that's where the majority of cases that are going to be manufactured are going to focus on the majority of consumers. The
Yeah.
majority of consumers don't want the big case. So yes, this is very good for those that want it. I'm just saying, you're saying there's no comparable full towers, and then you're trying to upsell this. And I agree there aren't comparable full towers for that cost, but that's because most people don't care.
I wouldn't say most people, because I would
Okay,
say
more than 50%, I guarantee you, more than 75% of budget builders do not care about full towers.
They
I
don't
see.
care about towers, period. Their main goal is to save money.
Yeah.
And they will save money cutting
That's
costs
pretty
however
budget.
they can.
if you have a dedicated, $2,000 to spend, or okay, that would be a bad
That
example.
is not budget. We're talking like $500
Yeah,
max.
no, I'm not talking just budget. I'm talking if you have $1,000 to spend, where could that other $80 go? That other $80 could
Into a
go.
really nice mid-tower case that you can have with like a handle to take with you to LAN parties. You could put that $80
But
into a
say
better
for
monitor.
What you do and what you enjoy. Some people that aren't. I'm not talking about extreme budget. I'm talking about people that are on a budget that is not extremely high. Still might really like a big tower. They don't
Yeah,
plan to go
that's-
anywhere.
I said
That's
some
great.
do, but most people don't. That's where
I would
the entirety
disagree
of the
with
industry-
most people. I would
Okay.
say a lot of people.
Ethan, let me put it to you this way. I had $1,000 when I built my computer. I started at $700. I ended up at $1,000 by chance.
You're
I
welcome.
only spent $80 on my case because that's all I had left. And
Yeah.
I had to get a mid-tower case because full tower cases at that time were expensive. $100+ per case.
But if this case was around in that point,
No, because I wouldn't have had enough money because I was on a budget. My budget went up $300 from when I started.
But
That was my fault.
okay,
Yes, it was actually.
you guys aren't. You guys are just trying to figure out ways to argue with me. But the thing is,
Well, that's why we're on WordCast. We're arguing about topics.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yes, but the N2 Pro is still something that's appealing because there are still a lot of people that want a full tower that don't want to spend a fortune.
Okay, yeah, but that's great for
I
those
agree with
people.
you there, Ethan. I even said that, but I'm just saying, there's a reason that on like Newegg, there aren't a lot of comparable towers, and that's because more people don't go with full towers than the people that do go.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
All we're saying, Ethan, and it's not that we're arguing, it's that we're trying to show you the way that we're looking at it from a consumerist point of view, from a general consumerist point of view, because we both built computers in the past, and especially for people on budgets or ourselves on budgets, is that when you're on a budget, especially, because it's a good example, you will cut corners. I will take $20 out of my case to put $20 into my processor, or I will take $20 out of my memory to put $20 into my graphics card. I will take money out of my case because, to me, that's the least important thing of my computer. I would rather put money that I'm not spending on a case into horsepower, because I can get a case later.
Yeah, but what if
Now,
you still full tower?
this is a great, low-cost, full-size tower. It's full feature, sturdy design, very appealing. But most people don't really care about cases as much as they do as the rest. They're nice, and they're
It's not
important.
about caring about the case. It's about wanting something larger.
Okay, but so I'm gonna say this subjectively. The only people that care about big cases are people that care about cases. Most people don't care about cases enough to warrant getting a big case or a small case. They just care about, will my stuff fit in the case, and does the case look nice? 90% of the people I talk to buy a case because it looked good, not because of the size.
Yeah, but the
Perfect
case
example of
does
that was
look good, and
Scotty.
It is big.
Perfect example of that was Scotty. When he was looking at his initial build, he did not care about the size of the case initially so much as what the case looked like, and then he realized how big full towers were. Then he only wanted a full tower.
And now he has a $250 full tower and a MATX motherboard.
Yeah, so, what the fuck is going on there? No one knows. But the point is,
Part of his computer.
yeah, if you don't really care about the case, it's not going to matter either way. But if you are genuinely concerned about your case, yes, this is a good case. It's just that most people don't.
But I didn't see what your guys' argument against it was, because
The argument against it is that if you're on a budget build, or if you don't really care about throwing money at a case, this case is just a case.
People that do care, and I thought you guys were denying that, and
No. People who care about this case will probably get this case because it is really nice, unless they specifically don't like big cases.
Yeah.
A lot of people, for whatever the reason, that just want a mid or a micro or a mini. Mid is the most common. It is actually the most appealing to most consumers because it's not really big. You can throw it under something. You can tack it to the wall for all they care. They don't weigh a lot. They're cheap. They usually have full feature.
Yeah. I was just saying, for the people that do want a big case, it's a very, very, very appealing case.
Yeah, but your initial argument is that most people will want this case.
No, that's not
That's
what I was.
not true because most people don't want a full tower.
No, that's
But
not what I
of
was
the
trying-
people that do want a full tower, most people will probably want this case if they don't want to spend a lot of money and they do want full feature. However, cases are all about appeal.
Yeah, I
9
know.
times out of 10 people will buy a case for looks, not for features.
Yeah, and this case does look good for the price. That's what I'm saying. I wasn't trying to say that most people want it or that most people like full towers. I was trying to say, for the people that do like full towers but don't want to spend a whopping amount of money, this is incredible because it looks really good, and it's very clean, and it's really cheap, and it's really cool to be able to see a company able to do something like that with such a big with a full tower for those people that want it, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are, the people that do want a full tower but don't want to spend a lot of money, haven't found what they wanted for a long time, and now we kind of have that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's cool, but it's like
for those
it's
people.
very, very selectively cool. Like you've got to be part of this niche.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's very, very selectively.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's like, okay, like I said, the entire thing about cases is that people buy them for appeal, generally, over utility. Like, yeah, it's got, you can put this fan in it, and you can put this fan in it, and you can put, fucking 1,000 hard drives in it for all I care. But if that case doesn't look cool, I'm not going to buy it, because I have to stare at that thing every day. But you've got to understand, Ethan, what you think is cool, and what I think is cool, have been proven time and time and again to be very, very different. I like Thor, and I like Throne, and I don't like NZXT.
But
I don't
people
like
don't
NZXT because they look alien-y. I don't like alien-y. I like angular, and I want it to look like I could kill a man with my case.
I
Not
know,
abduct them
but
and anally
a
probe
lot of
them.
people also want a sleek-looking case, and this case is very, very, very sleek. And
Yeah,
it's
so if you're in the sleek niche, this is a great case. But if you're in the alien niche, this is a horrible case. Or if you're in the, like
I want to kill people.
like steampunk niche, this is not the one.
Yeah.
If you want a case that looks like it would slaughter your children and then eat their organs, like this is not the way to go. No, just don't do it. You shouldn't want that anyway. But cases are niche based. People, that's why like people who like BitPhoenix usually just like BitPhoenix because BitPhoenix fits a niche. Minimalist, ultra modern, ultra sleek, thin design, low profile. It doesn't really stand out. It doesn't really take away from the experience of what's inside it.
Yeah.
Rosewell, fuck it. Let's just make it look as angular and hard and just like stone cold as possible. We'll put all the features in there, but man, it's just if you knock it over, you might kill someone.
Poster.
Yeah. Whereas NCXT, everything is wavy. Everything. Well, okay, not everything, but like a majority of the cases.
Series.
Yeah. But like, a lot of their cases look alien-y or futuristic modern.
They do, yeah, they do. And
So
some people like that.
yeah,
so.
and some people like that. It's a niche thing. So this case will fit a niche, and if you're in that niche, it's a really good case for the money.
Yeah.
But if you're not in that niche, fuck it, go buy a different case. There's thousands of cases.
We've come to the conclusion that this whole argument was mostly about us misunderstanding each other.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, this is a great case if you're that 5% that like that type of case.
Yeah.
Or that 10%
misunderstood.
that fit the niche and don't care about case size.
Yeah, and I misunderstood because I thought you were denying that it was a good case, and you misunderstood because you thought I was saying it's a case that everybody wants.
No, it's a great case if you want that type of case.
Exactly.
That's
Okay.
really what cases come
Solve the problem. Yay.
There's literally no such thing as a perfect case because it's an artist. It's an artistry thing.
Yeah.
Cases are an art.
So
I'm not hanging Thor on the wall. He would probably knock down my house. Fucker's heavy.
your case is heavy. My new one's gonna be heavier though.
Oh goddamn it! And I want to get thrown.
Even bigger and even heavier.
Yeah, I want it.
I know you do. And you're
I
gonna
mostly want it for the additional front USB ports and the dual fins on the top. And I'm also hoping that the new fins won't do that weird rattle thing that mine does, which I found out is actually just because it's loose. So if I turn the fan up and it does that weird noise, and I just like smack the back of it, it knocks it back in.
Okay, yeah.
So I think one of the ball bearings has gone out inside, which is fine. I can beat the shit out of Thor. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah. And I think you should go ahead and go with Throne and then pass Thor on to Jeremy or something.
The only problem is he's got a Dell motherboard, so it wouldn't work anyway. Because Dell uses a proprietary
it's a
form
proprietary.
factor. I mean, I don't know. I could take his computer apart and look at it and see. But
yeah. But if
I'm saving money to get that 21x9, and that's where I'm focusing my attention right now.
Yeah. And if he doesn't want it, then Neo would take it.
Yeah. I really fucking could shit all mounted on the wall. Feel like this was my first ultimate computer, and then I moved to the Game of Wolves.
And you can thank me for it.
Or the Wolf of Thrones, that's what it was.
Yes.
That's why I want that case. They could chop people's heads off with it.
Yes.
Get really pissed off all the
You
time.
can thank me for your first big case.
Yes, I can.
You're welcome, Cody.
Meanwhile, I'm just going to go back to C#.
I really do like seeing it getting used. It's very nice. Otherwise, it'd be collecting even more dust. Probably have about a pound of dust on it. But
Yeah, or you would have sold it. Whichever came first.
I probably wouldn't have sold it.
It's very true.
With something like that, it's hard to sell a case. So, do we have any more topics to talk about? I think we've
Apple and Beats.
Apple and Beats.
Yeah, no, why is that even a topic? Can we just throw that in the trash?
Well, it's a $3.2 billion purchase, so it's kind of a big deal.
You know what they're going to do, though? They're going to fucking patent headphones. Like, by the way, guys, if your headphones are curved at the top, Like, we own that.
Well,
You can't have...
Yeah.
There's
If
actually
there's
a
an
big
arc...
whole other rumor as to what's going on.
Cody, really quick, Daniel. Cody, we do need to mention Amazon's new patent after we're done with this Apple Beats.
Yes, okay, let's wait
That
on it.
patent's not even a big deal. People are flipping out because they don't understand it. But let's talk about Beats and Apple
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
But like there's been a big rumor going around that because in reality, Beats isn't an audio company. If you look at it, they're a fashion company.
Yeah.
People buy I know people that bought Beats and don't use them for listening to audio.
They
They
just buy
bought
it
them
because they're
to
Beats.
wear them because fashion. And there's rumors that Apple is going to use that in their wearables and use the whole like the Beats name as their wearable subsection.
Huh.
That makes sense.
If you look at them as a wearable tech, as a fashion tech, which is what they're pretty much already known for, and then throw your fashion tech, your wearable tech at that, then even if people don't like it, it doesn't hurt the Apple name.
Yeah. Okay, that's
$2
fair.
billion to protect the Apple name and potentially gain the free publicity towards any wearables you do.
That makes sense. You know what? The whole Apple patent thing freaks me out a little bit with it, but that's just because I know Apple likes to sue people.
Oh, yeah.
Like people like
People like to sue Apple too, though.
yeah,
That's only because
Samsung.
Apple likes to sue people.
Yeah. We're all trying to stick it to the man.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see them be like, yo, we bought this headphone thing, so now we know headphones, and like if you have this type of driver, we own that because no one else thought to patent it.
It's funny because in reality, Beats are like $40 headphones.
Yeah, no.
They're less than that.
No, Beats are like 40 because they do some special stuff for their machining process in their higher end headphones, so they're like $40 to manufacture.
Yeah, no. It makes sense. I don't know why the fuck they're doing it, but you can't really justify anything Apple does anymore.
No.
So, woo.
Very true.
Meanwhile, I'll just go out and buy my fucking $14 Skull Candy
Speaking
headphones.
of Apple, how many people do you think are going to abandon ship when they move up to the 4.7-inch screen size? Because that's one of the few good reasons to go with Apple is if you want a 4-inch phone that's not low tier.
Yeah.
They're going to lose so many people when they abandon that.
Probably.
You make a good point, yeah.
Honestly, the only people that I know of personally that buy Apple are people that want to get into smartphones but don't really have the technical knowledge to understand or operate Android because they find it too confusing.
But that's when you get a Galaxy as your like intro to Android.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But they want a decent phone with a low form factor that's easy to use.
Yeah.
And, Apple is good for that. Apple's got a
Apple's
good
good.
reputation for being a really simple smartphone.
That sounded really funny there.
A really simple smartphone. Okay, so
Amazon's patent.
Amazon-
This is their last topic.
Amazon, because I love this. This is fucking great. Amazon actually patented a method of taking pictures.
Here's what most people think it is. Most people think it's just picture with white background equals Amazon's patent.
No.
Nothing to do with that. That's what the freakout's been like. I see people saying this is worse than anything Apple's ever done. No, it's not. They didn't patent something generic like an Angular laptop.
Yeah.
It's
What
very,
they've
very,
done,
very-
they've patented the method and the setup in which you must take pictures to get a desired outcome. You have to have the object on a pedestal. You have to have a camera in front of the object. You have to have behind the camera a primary light source, and you have to have behind the pedestal a light source aimed at the white background to negate shadow. They have patented the method in which you take pictures. I get why they did it. I think it's really dumb that the United States Patent Department is allowing them to patent a method as compared to an actual thing.
Hmm.
And that's what's weird about it to me too, is it's like I don't see what the outcome of it or what the point is, because why? Okay, I don't see the point because
Here's the thing.
how do you prove that somebody took a picture that way? First off, because a picture can look that way and be a completely different lighting setup. So you'd have to have a picture of
I don't think Amazon patented this with the intent to sue.
I know, but I'm saying
I think they just want they just want exclusive right to it. They want to be able to say, this is our thing. Because, I mean, even with their Fire TV, they're essentially piggybacking off of like the Roku, Apple TV, etc., etc. It's already designed on the Android platform. The Kindle, essentially it's an Android e-reader. Most of the stuff that they've made, not really new technology, not really, innovative per se. This whole, like, patenting a way that you take pictures, this is their way of saying, this is our thing, we did this. No one else. I feel like this is them trying to stick their foot in the ground and establish something.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess in a way it could be.
Because their entire backbone has been products. They're a marketplace.
Yeah.
And they want to be able to say, look, you know what? When you go onto Amazon, no one else can take pictures like we can. We figured out how to take the best product images, period. You
Yeah.
come here, you get good product images. They're always high quality. They're always precise. You're going to see every dent, blemish, everything. If there's a fucking scratch on the surface, it's going to be in there. Because our pictures are so good, you'll be able to tell. This is their way of saying, look, if you come here, high quality, this is us. This is our thing. You're going to get exactly what you see.
Yeah, and I think it is cool. I guess you have a point. It's like they're putting their foot in the ground, and this could lead on to something more that is their thing only, in the future. So I think that's pretty much our last topic of the day.
I mean, I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong, but I feel like that's what Amazon is trying to do. Is just they're establishing the quality of their brand.
Yeah. So
The only way
I guess
that they can.
I'm gonna go ahead and conclude here because it's super late and I'm tired and Daniel's dead. So
Bye, Daniel.
So okay, I guess I'll just conclude with thank you everybody for watching WordCast number 3. Be sure to check out the website wordtechreviews.com. And feel free to check our Google Plus and join in anytime to watch our videos, watch our unboxings and stuff, and check out our new. We'll have a forum up on the website soon that you guys can check out too. And
As we've been saying for like
the last 3 times.
Oh.
I'm still working on it. It's a lot of polishing. So anyway, yeah, thank you
I
everyone
think
for
that's just
watching.
going to be a running joke for every WordTech.
We will eventually finish that forum.
No, we will. All right. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Adios.